Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I went to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like 20 bucks a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like 50 bucks a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Everybody can see we're exactly right to the second on time. Kart Canada prides themselves on trying to be on time, right to the second all the time.
cat food marketing. $9.99 a month.
Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
Do you have anything I can drink?
Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico. It's a healthy energy drink alternative.
Perico, non-GMO, gluten-free, kosher, magnesium, B12, B6,
Yeah, it's good.
B5, biotin, and 0 sugar? Pericazo! Try Perico, made with natural ingredients, organic caffeine, and supports your metabolism. Try the new official energy drink of Kart Chaser.
Paulie Massimino wins the Wisconsin Grand Prix! James Overbeck on start number 2 gets win number 1 in OKN Stars!
On track or off, Brandon Jarsekrak Racing delivers elite performance. Led by 4-time Pro National Champion Brandon Jarsekrak, our team masters driver coaching, data-driven analysis, and mechanical precision at every national event. Contact us today at BrandonJarsekrakRacing.com.
Macron Motorsports builds champions every day, drivers who won on the world stage. The Tillotson T4 Series is pure spec racing. Same engine, same chassis. When you win, it's because you were the best that day. Your edge is not the kart, it's the setup, the strategy, and the race team. With our Arrive and Drive program, you simply bring your gear, we provide the equipment and the championship winning support to every event. Stop wrenching, start racing. Your path to the T4 Nations Cup in Spain starts with us. For more information, contact us at macronmotorsports.net.
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle Cuthbertson? Doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson through on Turney. Turney in the dirt.
2026 Cup Kart South Series, February 20th through 22nd at Finish Line Karting. March 20th through 22nd at Daytona International Speedway. April 24th through 26th at Music City Karting. And May 29th through 31st at Bushnell Motorsports Park.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
Hey guys, I'm Chris G. I'm Kart Chaser's driver fitness coach, and today I'm going to give you 3 tips on how to strengthen your shoulders for more endurance and better stability in the kart. Here we go. Okay, so exercise number 1 is the front rope pull-through cable raises. Okay, now, this is the upright cable row. What you are doing here is you're picking a straight bar, as you see, and we're working the side areas of our shoulders, the medial. Exercise number 3, the dumbbell shrugs. As you guys can tell, I like to pause at the top before releasing. It's great for your strength, for that wheel stability. It's great for those shoulders and that upper back area. Chris G coaching, race-ready training that carries into real life. That's what we do here. See you on the next one.
Are you stuck with your kart racing? Not sure the ideal kart setup? Or going to a track for the first time? Well, Kart Class has the answers for you. Our online portal has a wealth of experience and knowledge to help your kart racing. From kart setup advice to track guides that are targeted specifically to your circuit, or the driver coaching aspect with mindset, racecraft and driving techniques. If you want to take your karting to the next level, visit us at kartclass.com.
Champions aren't just born on the kart track. At SimShop, we deliver professional-grade simulators with the best performance-to-price ratio in the industry. Founded by racers who understand what you need, our SimMagic and Moza equipment is powerful enough for the pros, yet affordable for everyone. With unmatched customer support and a thriving community, we're your racing partner. Visit simshop.com today.
ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
When it comes to innovation on the track, Odenthal Racing Products leads the pack. From the highly popular EasyGP camera mounts to our tough case to GoPro case, racers everywhere trust ORP for strength, reliability, and precision. We're proud to be the #1 engine mount manufacturer in the USA. And with our new Easy Bumper Retainer System, you won't get caught out with a failed bumper bolt again. Odenthal Racing Products. Lead or get left behind.
Karting isn't just speed. It's control, precision, freedom. At Atlanta Motorsport Park, Kart Freedom isn't just a team. It's where drivers are made.
Let's go race.
Come on, man.
Welcome to the future of kart race preparation, Kart Sim Pro North America. Featuring laser-scanned North American kart circuits and precision-tuned kart physics developed using real telemetry, dyno and tyre data, Kart Sim Pro North America delivers the most advanced and realistic kart simulation experience available today. Whether you're training for race day, refining your lines, or shaving tenths off your personal best, Kart Sim Pro gives you pro-level insight without leaving your home. Trusted by world champions, coaches, and karting enthusiasts alike, this is where virtual practice translates into real-world performance. Experience the thrill, the challenge, and the edge. Kart Sim Pro North America. Use code CHASER20 to get 20% off today.
Gee, looks like we're missing the engine. What the hell am I supposed to tag?
What do you mean? It's my Greyhound. It's all I need.
Where's the rest of it?
It doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
You gotta make weight. Okay, you're good.
I'm sitting by here with Kyle, our race winner. Tell me how you did it. You were blazing fast out there, and I mean, you don't even have a go-kart, man. Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know, Norberg, Schmorberg, the Greyhound-powered Greyhound was great today. You know, it makes the difference. And the team's been working really hard back at the shop, and, you know, just shout out Greyhound.
Thank you, Kyle.
How the f did you just win?
Doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I went to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like $20 a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like $50 a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
You're looking at the beautiful mountainsides when it comes to Mont-Tremblant here in Quebec. As for the first time in the history of CKNA, it has its Canada Grand Nationals here this weekend. Welcome everyone to today's action as we start things off for the 2026 edition of this event here at the Tank Karting Academy here on Kart Chaser. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside with the booth for this weekend is Cameron Reed, well known for racing escapades as well in CKNA competition and in multiple other series. But tonight, here to say the very least, Cam, and throughout the day, should say, these drivers will make it clear what their goal is. Drive well, finish well, set themselves out for finals day tomorrow.
As we get set here, qualifying coming at you here shortly with 3 groups for our juniors split into a bottom, middle, and top half with only 3 timed laps. They'll have to fire off quickly and set a quick lap if they want to sit on pole as we head into our later today.
And we'll see how these drivers compete over the course of the day and in turn how well some of these teams position themselves over the course of those times. We're just minutes away from these drivers hitting the racetrack. And overall, 235 total entries joined up for this weekend, 50 alone in the junior class, and there are 78 are racing in senior light. That's why they're among some of your biggest, in fact, are your biggest classes on property here in Quebec, as these drivers will have to, as a result here at Cameron, have to be qualifying very well. You do not want to be in the back this weekend for how big these fields are.
There's no doubt you want to start up in that front half of the field as things can get sideways here as we go through these heats. Everybody fight for every single position, with 50 drivers taking off here in the junior class shortly. Leading us off will be the 125 of Nathan Reddish, who set fastest lap in our happy hour and final practice yesterday.
We'll see how, in turn, everyone else will go. Remember, the way it sorts out for the qualifying for the juniors here today with the field size, they have bottom third, middle third, top third in terms of sorting as a result of those times. So, they'll all get the command to hit on the racetrack in the next moments or so to begin things off here. Again, your juniors are brought to you by HM Propeller. Yes, we are all set to go to begin qualifying. They'll make sure everyone gets separated. In terms of this racetrack, this facility's been around since about 2011. Alex Tagliani bought this track in 2023. Very well known for being one of the top drivers in Canada in stock cars. Today is going to be interesting how this racetrack is going to look for these drivers. For this track, it's about 1.3 kilometers, about 15 turns, mind you, Cameron. So it's got a lot of turns per se to battle with. But when you look at the track maps, there's also a fair amount of straightaway.
Yeah, the track looks super interesting and a place I would love to drive at. We've got some technical sections towards the end of the track as we go through turns 10, 11, and 12, a little bit tighter sections. Long straightaway, our drivers coming down now as we head into a right-hander, turn 14, another short stint through turn 15 and down straightaway. So we've got a mix of some high speed, long straightaways, as well as some nice binding down hairpins, as you see right here in turn 2 and 3.
So we're following along with Kart to lead things off. Laporte is amongst this group, and several of the other names you'll see populate through. You have Alessandro Dimi, Jack Holtum. You have Matt Desdu, as well as Caleb McLean, amongst many of the others. We're all still scattering for the times for the first 3 laps. And the tough thing about the qualifying here is going to be here today, getting the right tire optimization here, because you have to be near perfect here in theory to set the fastest lap time with the way these tires can work.
Yeah, with only 3 laps here, you're trying to get the tires as warm as you can, as quick as you can to that lap 2, 3. You can fire off and pop some of the fast laps. Now again, this is our bottom third of the group, so we have a lot more drivers that are a little bit more accustomed to this process. Not saying that any of these drivers can't go, because it's been done many times before. Right now, top of your list is Alessandro Dumi. Our more continued line starting to pop their fast laps.
Right now, we're starting off the 105s, as you see, for the opening warm-up through. As we're zoned here on the second lap, we'll see how the pace itself really picks up here. Right now, it's Potter that's just taking some time up on the racetrack as everyone else zips their way around the circuit here. So, all that in mind here, one of your main passing opportunities might be about here, as you see some of the overlap today. You see a lot of opportunities possibly in 8, seems to be based on the cornering mechanisms. You have 13 going to be a great chance. Obviously 14 as well, turn 1. Going to be your main areas this weekend. Coming down to start the final lap right now, Laporte. One of those currently working their way through amongst your juniors. Laporte, seen plenty of the drivers today, mind you, just competed in the Coupe de Montreal. What was among those who was about 8th in the junior category over in the Montreal area just a few days ago. So today, looking to carry that with a solid starting position against the best in the nation. Find out if that's going to be ring true here. A lot of the others here did not take part, obviously, in the Coupe de Montreal. Others were taking part in various different races in Ontario or in their other parts of the regions. In our words, everyone's been very busy leading to the Canada Nationals. But this is one of the staples that's on your schedule here, Cameron. You want to win, especially being the first to ever do it in CKNA.
As we continue to follow with Oliver Laporte, as he is setting up for a great lap. A little bit of a draft. We'll see if he can go any better as we cross the line here. He does not. Still sitting at the top of your list, though, as a few more drivers will cross the line here. We'll see if anybody will be able to go better. Next up is your middle group. Another group of drivers who have been just a little bit curt as they rounded out the day yesterday. We'll see if they can go better than your current pole sitter, Oliver Laporte.
Yep, and Laporte indeed holds on for now. 105, 191. It's going to be your top of the board to start things off here today here on Kart Chaser. So, expecting the speeds to pick up a bit. For reference here earlier, in terms of the warm-ups, drivers are reaching as high as the 104.8. So there is a good chance there, Cameron. That time for the 607 may still be amongst some of your best. But that is if, and only if, that ends up carrying through and we don't see a massive pickup here compared to the warm-ups a few minutes ago.
As these last couple of drivers start to make their way off the track and another group set to come on. Evie Clarox is your provisional P2 with Harlan McNeil in P3. As we briefly mentioned, these times aren't too far off what we were seeing this morning in warm-up, but we know that we have another stout 30 drivers or so to still hit the track. as it looks like they should be getting fired up pretty soon and making their first lap.
Let me get your opinion on this here. What's kind of the mindset when you have a national event like this? We know the Grand Nationals, obviously huge in the States. You've been there as well. What's the mindset when you go into a national event at this caliber?
I think it's important to stay calm and focused on what you've taken away from the weekend so far, having those practice sessions, which ultimately led into our group with that happy hour session rounding out the day. You're taking something away from every so sessions, going back to the tent, working with your team, trying to get the go-kart better, but also perfect yourself and your driving as well. So for me, when I go into a qualifying session like this, I'm focusing on the things that I needed to fix, whether it's in my driving or just making sure that I feel confident in the go-kart, with the main focus setting up the perfect lap, right? You don't want to run in front of you nor get caught by the person behind you. Here at the CKNA races, you cannot touch or bump draft during these qualifying sessions. Now you can run up and get as close to them as possible, but you're not allowed to make contact during these qualifying sessions. So it's really important that you match and get that draft without losing your fast lap due to contact. For me, it's focusing on my driving and the marks that I need to hit in order to put the best lap down, while also maximizing my track positioning.
So with that being said here, the middle third just about ready to go. It looks like they are now being told to get ready to line up here. Yeah, CKNA Canada does have itself, mind you, a lot of racing action over the course of the year as well. For those curious, that's always been a big division where they've had relatively strong fields over here in Canada, but this middle third is ready to go at the racetrack. For reference, happy hour yesterday, talking about some of the drivers in the 104.2s for comparison with the different track conditions. Group A at the quicker pace, though that was led at the time by Jamie Stewart. But looks like everyone else has gone the racetrack as we're all set to go for this group. And this is going to be the interesting time to see where some of the pickup is now going to go in this set, as our middle third is now on the racetrack to keep up with the qualifying session. Cameron, do you take note of what you see from some of the drivers in front of you in the group, or are you just focused on your own respective grouping in terms of what you're doing qualifying wise when you hit the racetrack?
Yeah, you're mainly focused on yourself, and as you guys can see here, this is what CKNA does for all of their events to prevent that contact as we breathe. So really have the ability to judge the person in front of you majorly catching them. So for a lot of these drivers, they're focused on themselves, hitting their best possible marks to put that fast lap together. As we follow the twos of Blake Freyo, as he's trying to put a fast lap, hopefully stay in that top half of the group.
A lot of notable drivers are in this grouping here. Justin Michaud is in this middle third, coming off some successful speed over the Coupe de Montreal recently against Gondry. Amongst those, also a lot of the Quebec talent, obviously, going to be here this weekend. But it's going to be as a result with this type of event, a lot of teams that some of them may make the trek to the States, some do not. Point Karting is one of those. Vancouver Racing has a lot of representation in this junior class. We do have a few PPKs that made the trip on over with some of their competitors, as you see with Blake, in this case, in the Coyote. So obviously, for some teams, remember, some of these same teams will make that same trek to stateside to compete when it comes to the Grand Nationals. Let's see where the first times go. The 105 flats to begin. A lot more time to be picked up here, to say the very least here, Cam, as these competitors start off with some solid ones.
Yes, Aiden Kitchen top the board with one. These are pretty much what we saw that bottom third of the group running just a short few moments ago. As to cross the line here.
All of these drivers still doing the same thing though, making sure they set up pretty well in this respective pack of drivers. Take a look at some of the others as they go about here. 180. So zipping away fourth. That is Kishun, currently fourth. Coming up to the final time around. No, still holds on though with 104.4. So the pace definitely stepping up a little bit more for some of these competitors. Right now, you see drivers like Smith. That is going to be Wyatt Smith jumping up. Gundry jumping up into the top three here. Continue to shuffle about with some of the talent level really rising to the occasion here. So Cam, at this point here, looking pretty steady for the 208 in this respective pack for your middle third, if you will, to look in a good spot compared to some of the others possibly.
Yeah, Blake's looking really good out there, running some time with a 3/10 buffer to Marco Bazin P2 as he comes around to make his final lap across the line. Able to go a little bit better with a 104.03 as a few more drivers. We see one hopping across the line there, trying to get everything out of the cart that he can. But it doesn't look like anybody has been able to go better than Blake at the moment. So about a second than what the fastest in that bottom third. Now we'll get to top third. The fastest group here in junior based off yesterday's happy hour times. What will they be able to do here shortly?
So, of note, that time did pick up as we were kind of expecting here, upwards of 1.2 seconds from the bottom third to the middle third here. As the rest of the drivers go on through, Gondry in second in this respective group, followed by Marco Bazan. You also have Ethan Belknap, who finished up at the top four. Adam Saldana amongst those in the top five in the middle third for your juniors here this morning. So, that being said, top drivers getting ready to zip about here as we are set to go for the bottom third, or rather the top third should say, the next little bit here, the next couple minutes here, Cameron. Obviously the middle third picking up the tempo, but now that top third is where you set the gold standard for your top competitors for this weekend.
These are the drivers that we expect to see at the top of the board here shortly, as these were your fastest drivers from yesterday. It's a brisk 62 there in Quebec, but I believe it was a bit chillier there yesterday. How will these drivers adapt to the little bit warmer temperature? Although it's not super warm like we have down here in the south where I am used to. For that, for us, 62 is still a bit chilly. But again, your top third, your fastest drivers getting ready to hit the track here shortly. Just waiting on CKNA officials to give us that 1 minute call. Fired up and set the track for that quality.
Mind you, some of the names to talk about here in this group, comparing that to some of the top drivers in warm-up yesterday. You had some of the drivers like Robert Tronchi Jr., who led the way in juniors yesterday. Cole Campen, Wyatt Smith, and Ian Cushion were a bunch. Some of the drivers in their respective warm-up Group A earlier today. Antoine Bisnet was the top driver in Group B earlier today for the juniors in their warm-up session, with Thomas Bernier Bordeaux amongst those in the top three, with Jackson Cadney up in the top three. Some of the drivers like Nathan Redditch were in the first group also. But a lot of others were remaining relatively patient on what times they actually put up on the board here. And it looks like final safety checks underway. We're set to roll in about 2 minutes here. What are you discussing with your crew members like you're seeing with some of the drivers here? What are you talking about with your fellow crew members here in this, on that wait up for the grid?
It's definitely going to be different drivers. Some of them need a pep, and others need to be calmed down, right? So as we get that 1 minute call, there are a lot of good lucks going across the board, drive your heart type of thing. As you see your top two drivers, as you mentioned from that happy hour, and just there to the right is the 214 of Hudson, our 2025 CKNA Canadian champion. So Hudson Jack Arlen will be looking to carry on his legacy here in the CKNA Canadian Grand time ever. As our juniors get set to roll for quali, they'll be just as you saw previously, starting 207 of Jamie Swin.
And they're just on set to go here. So, one of the Coyote Canadas, in terms of the lineup coming in through the event, you see the Sprinter Racing Team backing Jamie here, ready to roll. She's coming off some successful racing this past weekend, actually, in terms of some of the events, part of some racing for the track race, if you will, that over the course of over at Goodwood, but came up at the top of the board over 27 competitors, also was top 10 in the Spring Nats earlier this year over at Charlotte Motor Speedway, also seen here on Kart Chaser. Probably the first to hit the racetrack and get us flying here for our session. As now we find out who's going to set the pole in your juniors, brought to you once again by HF Propeller here this afternoon.
Jamie back up his...
Go ahead.
Sorry about that, Justin. Jamie back up his performance that he had late yesterday evening, but it looks like Robert has been able to close that gap on him a little bit at the first lap. For me, Jamie is in the most difficult position as a driver, having no carrot per se, nobody to chase through these qualifying sessions. It's really difficult to gauge if you're carrying enough speed through the corners and if you're driving well enough to put that down. For me, I'd much rather be in the 7 of Robert Trump. It does look like he closed the gap slightly to Jamie Stewie first lap. Maybe start to have opened up a little bit. Again, it'll take a full lap for these tires to get, and then they will get a nice 2 flyer laps to set down to be the time of the weekend, or the time of qualifying, I should say, that pole position.
You mentioned Jack Irwin in this grouping, coming off strong success in Canada last year, for example. Was top 5 in both the Spring and Winter Nats earlier this year also. They're one of your contenders. You have Christopher Goulet, who's looked pretty steady. Seen some racing in Montreal recently with them in the region. Up the top 5 of the racetrack. But look at Trotchi Jr. pick up a lot of draft. 104.322 to start things off at the pace. And the initial lap here is upwards of near a second quicker than some of the other groups. Compare that to the bottom third. These drivers are in a lot more of a immediate speed difference on colder tires here, Cameron.
Yeah, these drivers able to pick up a lot of time so far on these early laps. To give it to Robert Trotchi Jr. is flying right now. 3 on just his outlap. Looks like he was able to let gas, give himself a little bit of space. We talked about this a little bit earlier as well, making sure you have the track positioning. He does not want to run into the driver in front of him before the straightaway. You don't want to have to sacrifice your lap, because again, if you touch here, CKNA, you will lose your fast. Stewian jumps to the top of the board quickly, overtaken by Cole Campen and then Jack Erland. So a lot of the drivers on their fast now, we've broken into the 103s. This is the quickest that will far. All of the groups. Again, this is expected to happen. Quickest 16 off yesterday's timing. So currently, Jack Erlin, our 20, sitting at the top of the board with a 103.8 as they've got one lap to try to best him.
One more opportunity here to see if they can try and dethrone onto Jack Erlin. Right now, that's provisional pole. William Rossetti looking very quick, though, with Kempen within 3/10 as well. You have Lotto also coming off some races. Giordano looking to pick things up the 214 camp. But here is the look at Jack Erlin. Will there be a shuffle? Looks like Tronchi Jr. did step it up by a 10th. Will there be a chance to respond back? Jack Erlin, 66 1/1000ths within the pole, is not able to respond on the third and final time. So it's Robert Tronchi Jr., who normally runs in rock packaging as well in the States, able to succeed here today in CKNA competition to start the Canada Nats with a provisional pole. You have Rontail also jumping up in the top 3. Corbett in the 4th spot. Campen, for Cole Campen rather, in the top 5. Also 6th, Antoine Bazinet in your order. Starting off strong is the 247 here, Cameron.
Yeah, Robert Tronchi Jr. going to be very happy with that performance as he gets to lead off this hefty junior class. And there's some very talent here at this CKNA event this week. He'll be happy with that performance as he will get to lead us off for our 2 heat races later today.
We'll take a break. When we come back, more action. You're watching today's coverage of CKNA Canada Grand Nationals. Qualifying continues after this.
Cat food marketing. $9.99 a month.
Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing? Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night. Come on, man. Do you have anything I can drink? Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico. It's a healthy energy drink alternative. Perico? Non-GMO? Gluten-free? Kosher? Magnesium? B12? B6? Yeah, it's good. B5? Biotin? And 0 sugar? Pericazo! Try Perico, made with natural ingredients, organic caffeine, and supports your metabolism. Try the new official energy drink of Kart Chaser.
Paulie Massimino wins the Wisconsin Grand Prix. James Overbeck on start number 2 gets win number 1 in OKN Stars.
On track or off, Brandon Jarsekrak Racing delivers elite performance. Led by 4-time Pro National Champion Brandon Jarsekrak, our team masters driver coaching, data-driven analysis, and mechanical precision at every national event. Contact us today at BrandonJarsekrakRacing.com.
Macron Motorsports builds champions every day, drivers who won on the world stage. The Tillotson T4 Series is pure spec racing. Same engine, same chassis. When you win, it's because you were the best that day. Your edge is not the kart, it's the setup, the strategy, and the race team. With our Arrive and Drive program, you simply bring your gear, we provide the equipment and the championship winning support to every event. Stop wrenching, start racing. Your path to the T4 Nations Cup in Spain starts with us. For more information, contact us at macronmotorsports.net.
As you can see on screen, the trophy for qualifying for your RLV Fastest Qualifier being awarded once again here today after the qualifying session. That'll happen after every class today for your top competitor who's able to score the pole for today's races. Justin Prince, Cameron Reed with you here today as we're back on our way. This time, it's going to be senior medium. Part of your qualifying order. They're set to hit the racetrack where it's PSL Karting that backs this series, or this class rather, here this afternoon and this weekend. Only one group of karts here for this respective pack here, Cameron, but you have a lot of big names. You have Nicholas Capolongo that stands out, for example. Christopher Wakefield's come all the way from Florida. And so many others looking to prove they can run well today.
All 34 drivers together here for the qualifying session as we're following along with the 3:08 of Alex Murphy, who is happy hour. So he will be to pop a fast lap once again to roll off P1 here for the senior medium drivers. One of the most difficult classes to be up front and sit on that pole position in. So Alex Murphy looks like he's a little bit frustrated. Not sure what's going on. Oh, there it is. These slower drivers are being thrown out right in front of him. That is extremely frustrating as a driver who's trying to put his lap together with only 3 laps to do so. He's now going to have to catch some traffic, and like we mentioned multiple times up to this point, he's not allowed to touch any. He will fast lap, and they will lose theirs as well. So that's a little bit frustrating. A driver fighting him there for position. So Alex Murphy a little bit frustrated, trying to just find some clean air to pop a fast lap.
Yep, and right now we're expecting a lot of these karts to try and circulate here today. So remember, later today, Senior Light has a field so large in terms of scheduling that they have 4 splits. Per the last rotation, there was 1 for the medium side. Then we'll follow by the Legends. Masters and Senior Heavy for today's events, but not tomorrow's, are together. Cadets had a split of 2 set up for today in terms of the qualifying. All that leading up until the lunch break. That's around 12 o'clock here as we have a spinner. One of the karts off the racetrack, that's the 339, having some issues this time through. That would have been Andrew Zutaka had some issues. All while the first driver on the board, it's Sebastian Day who's leading things off, who runs a Mika competition normally on the local scene, has done well over at Motorsports Kart Center. Just got shuffled back by a few others as the board continues to change.
As a few more drivers trying to get that clean air, we see a pass happening a little bit further back. Again, these drivers, our first top 5 drivers or so on that second lap coming around did get thrown out in the middle of some slower packs, as we see Alex Murphy going for another pass there. He'll jump up into the top 5, but slowly get knocked down to some more drivers to begin to funnel back through. Christopher Wakefield will jump to the top of the board at the moment with a 103.6. He has about a 10th over John Wade and Sebastian Day. All still pretty close as we head into this final lap. Again, Alex Murphy here trying to pull something off. He's now fallen into that 9th position. But at the moment, Christopher Wakefield still stands at the top of your list here in senior medium for the final lap.
Remember, Wakefield last year with the Grand Nats ended up doing triple duty. Ran in the medium, ran in the light, ran in the heavy. And as a result, was top 10 in every single one of those races. Now, steady here with some of the others you see battling about. A few swap arounds, if you will. Going to feature some of the drivers, including Maxime Uskov, trying to get sorted out. But the drivers cross the line with the pole in the 103.4s for Christopher Wakefield. Sebastian Day, it's a shuffle late. A few other times we'll circulate on through as things try and get sorted out with where the drivers got released and whatnot. So, in turn, unofficially, Wakefield has the top board as some of the rest of the times do update, with Richard jumping up to second, Day, Wade, and Adams up at the top 5. Sebastian Jenny, John Wade, William Adams, those 5 up there. So, some of your names like Capilongo, who we've seen good in the stateside, going to have to put some work in here today. One of the Team Canada representatives and many others are going to have to go to the drawing board after this qualifying session here, Cameron.
But ultimately, Christopher Wakefield, although he is not from Canada and may not be familiar for these drivers up here, he is no new face and new name for our CKNA officials and CKNA competition. Christopher Wakefield, your pole sitter as we head on into our next class, your Legends drivers getting set to hit the track.
These Legends going to be, they have switched the order, just received word in the ear. So originally was set to be Legends, they switched it with Masters and Senior Heavy next up into the rotation here today. And we have on property 20 Masters and 10 Senior Heavies. Not a lot of those in the heavy class, but we do have some good names there in the mix, like Jason Rothman that comes up in the first look through. But the Masters themselves also have a fair amount of drivers. Eric Lassard coming off some stellar speed over in the Coupe de Montreal. You have some of the drivers like Matthew Martin looking to run well. John Price is in the field. Eric Boyes is in the field from Peterborough. So many of the drivers on the Masters side looking to show their strength in numbers here when they hit the racetrack in a few minutes. Who stands out to you with your experiences with some of the drivers that may have gone stateside for you, Cameron?
Yeah, the senior heavy class and the Masters class is a great, normally great racing there in the U.S., although they're not classes that I typically have ever driven in. So not super familiar with a lot of the drivers in that class. But Eric Lassard here in Masters is your 2025 Canadian champ and was quickest in happy hour. So I think we'll definitely need to keep an eye on the 816 there, the Intrepid machine, as he is continuing to be quick in the Canadian competition over the last few years, as well as Jason Rothman, your 2025 champion in the senior heavy class. But it's the 361 of Michael Coggins for senior heavy that was quickest in happy hour yesterday. Those will all be some names that we'll watch as this session kicks off. Again, this is a mixed class, so we'll have a few different drivers to keep our eyes out for, although they will all look similar as they will be grouped together on track at the same time.
Any word for the 1 minute signal here this time, 1 minute. So they are just about all set to go. Remember, these two classes will race together today, but not tomorrow. They will separate back out according to the current class schedules released through for the finals tomorrow morning and early afternoon. Again, your two classes brought to you by two different partners here. The Masters are brought to you by Lombardi Raceway Park, then it's SAS for Senior Heavy here this weekend. And it looks like Lassard will be the first driver to lead them out with the Masters ready to fire. Also followed on the line right on behind will be David Bergeron, who was also in his closest competitor just a week ago. Does that help factor in when you have racing experience and know what your opponent's game plan is for just a week ago?
I think it changes track to track, there's no doubt, and weekend to weekend. A lot of these drivers are making it up as they go. They're working on the fly here, and as we go through these heat races today, I think we'll see some strategy changes, ultimately figuring out what will work for that feature tomorrow, as that is the most important finish for these guys. So Eric Lassard, again, in one of the more difficult positions, leading us away in qualifying with nobody to chase, nobody to follow. So he is in one of those more difficult positions. David Bergeron rolls off second. He'll be looking to best Eric and trying to get a little bit of a toe, see if he can't close up here on these early laps with Matthew Demers. Just a few car lengths back, but still in the eyesight of our two front-running Masters drivers at the moment.
First lap's about to get underway here as they all leave themselves on through. As crew members will make their way off the track. And look at that, some more traffic immediately. That they're released towards the tail. There's contact. Lessard did hit a cart. That's going to be an issue for qualifying.
Definitely, you could see the frustration coming out of Lessard, just like we saw just a few moments ago with our senior medium drivers. Ultimately, this is very difficult to get through. He's trying to get through the best that he can without ruining his fast lap. We've talked about this multiple times now, only 3 laps. I really think it's difficult to grasp just how hard it is for you to truly settle in, get the tires warm, trust the go-kart, and be able to start hitting your marks in only 3 laps. It normally takes you a little bit longer. So throwing in some extra traffic makes that a whole lot more difficult as you basically throw away a whole lap. So we'll see how this plays out for Lessard here, as he did have contact with that driver, although the CKNA officials might look into that and give him a little bit of grace there, as there was some impeding by the slower drivers. But ultimately, Martin able to top your board at the moment, but we'll see if anybody can best him as we go into the final laps here.
Yeah, that's going to take a few moments, of course, for the leaderboard to sort itself with so many carts, first of all, but second, some of the drivers staggered a belt compared to some of the others on circuit. Dalton Watson, for reference, down the board in this group at the moment. How long will that stand as we take a look at some of the others? This again, going to see some drivers at least think, where are they going to be able to plan, be able to be up towards the front here today. The heavies, not too many in numbers, as we said, but some of the drivers like Matthew Demers looking solid. We've seen with the follow-on, now they're back in traffic. Coming up to start lap 3, though. Let's see where things sort. Right now, you see Lessard for now is putting up good times. Matthew Matando just put up a 105 flat, 104.8 for Michael Rock. And several more still shuffle, as you see. Price is still got on the board, at least for some of the boards on the pylons, still 104s. That got shuffled because Rockman just put up a fast time, 104.7, to jump up to the top of their respective grouping.
John Price able to go even better with a 104.5. John Price is in that Masters class, the 444. Jason Rothman in senior heavy. So there you guys can see your P1 and P2 at the moment are 2 different classes. So that I know it makes it a little bit more confusing for you guys, but at the moment, John Price, our leader, our pole sitter in the Masters category with a 104.5, and Jason Rothman, the 442, is our leaders in senior heavy. As we have a little bit more time, a few more drivers here to cross the line for checkered flag. We'll see if anybody's able to go better than either one of these 2 drivers to take over the pole position. It doesn't look like it so far. So still, John Price is your leader here in Masters. A few more drivers will cross the line here. Again, nobody able to go better. John Price, your Masters provisional pole, with Jason Rothman, your provisional pole sitter in senior heavy.
Take a look, meanwhile, on your RLV fastest qualifiers. As once again, this is your medium celebration. We talked about moments ago how things looked for them. And remember, we seen just moments ago, Christopher Wakefield put up the pace. He gets to celebrate, and more will join in a moment. You're watching Kart Chaser.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Kyle Cuthbertson doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson through on Turney. Turney in the dirt.
2026 Cup Kart South Series, February 20th through 22nd at Finish Line Karting. March 20th through 22nd at Daytona International Speedway. April 24th through 26th at Music City Karting. And May 29th through 31st at Bushnell Motorsports Park.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR, with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
Hey guys, I'm Chris G. I'm Kart Chaser's driver fitness coach, and today I'm going to give you 3 tips on how to strengthen your shoulders for more endurance and better stability in the kart. Here we go. Okay, so exercise number 1 is the front rope pull-through cable raises. Okay, now this is the upright cable row. What you are doing here is you're picking a straight bar, as you see, and we're working the side areas of our shoulders, the medial. Exercise number 3, the dumbbell shrugs. As you guys can tell, I like to pause at the top before releasing. It's great for your strength, for that wheel stability. It's great for those shoulders and that upper back area. Chris G coaching, race-ready training that carries into real life. That's what we do here. See you on the next one.
Are you stuck with your kart racing? Not sure the ideal kart setup? Or going to a track for the first time? Well, Kart Class has the answers for you. Our online portal has a wealth of experience and knowledge to help your kart racing. From kart setup advice to track guides that are targeted specifically to your circuit, or the driver coaching aspects with mindset, racecraft and driving techniques. If you want to take your karting to the next level, visit us at kartclass.com.
Our next group is all set to go as legends are indeed on the racetrack. Here for the racing action brought to you by Kart E-Parts. As we are just about ready to see how they qualify. We've seen a lot of competitive drivers come out of the Canadian region that have done well stateside on Kart Chaser, but the Canadian legends to watch for, Eli Yenko is a big name here when it comes to some of the drivers on the entry list here this weekend. Cameron has been a champion in the Canadian division over the years, has looked steady in 2025, looked good. Now it's going to be one of your top drivers again today. You see them lead things off, coming off a top 5 in the Spring Nats just a few months ago.
Yeah, Eli Yenko, a name we know well here in the CKNA family, no matter where we are racing, it seems like. So he was able to go quickest in happy hour yesterday. He will lead us off. Like you mentioned, our 2025 Canadian champion, even won it here at this exact track in Legends in 2024. So a driver that's familiar with this track and has been quick here in the past. He will try his best to put it here on pole again for this weekend, while Sylvain Colombi will be rolling off second. Just behind him, you can see him at the edge of the screen there. He will be trying to pull together just a slightly better lap to go pole position. The two of them matched each other exactly with a 105.009 in happy hour yesterday. So very close racing for the two of them here in Legends as we are starting to wrap up our first lap on the track, and we'll get a better order as they start to cross the line.
We'll find out pretty soon where a lot of these drivers will start. I'm also keeping an eye on Tim Steifel, who's made the trip over from Rochester, New York. relatively close per se. That's an air driver that's looked steady. Some of the races finished 13th though in the Spring Nats, but it also showed speed, and Kart's East competition is one of its top drivers in that regional. So we'll find out if the pace is going to be absolutely there for them this weekend. As first times will come on through to this time. Yanko actually getting some good draft this time off of DuPont. This is first time, 105.5, 8/10ths quicker than some of the air drivers. Now it's upwards of 3/10ths some of the airs drive on through. But also, at the moment, Jamie MacArthur looking pretty steady also. Serge Boivin jumping up inside the top 30 provisionally also. But some of the airs, as you'll see a lot of the times, try and sort themselves out, if you will, here in your pylon still.
So Eli Yanko had a little bit of traffic there as well, but ultimately able to use it to his advantage, as we saw getting a little bit of a draft. I think that's what some of our other drivers would have appreciated a little bit more from those little bit heftier groups, such as Senior Medium and Master Senior Heavy there that we saw just moments ago. So Eli Yanko able to get a little bit of a draft, but so will the 889 off that driver head. Here is the 422 of Goebel out there by himself, but trying to get that same draft that the 881 there of Sylvian is able to get. There we go. Daniel. Then Jamie MacArthur. Sorry, they're all coming across the line here, starting to go quicker than each other. So at the moment, the 475, Jamie MacArthur, sitting at the top of your poll with a 105.3. We're still a little bit slower than we were in happy hour yesterday, so we can expect as we cross the line here for the final time for our drivers to pick up a few more tenths. But at the moment, here is your provisional pole sitter, the 475 of Jamie MacArthur.
Yeah, MacArthur looking very solid. It runs on both sides of the border, by the way. Looking in terms of the driving record there, runs over it. Most sport runs in Cup Karts Canada, but also has made some East appearances their own right so far. It's the 475 with no drafting help, by the way. It's looking very competitive. Yanko just came across and put up a 105.3, but not enough to dethrone the 475. Everybody else comes on through. Does MacArthur raise the bar? The bar does not really change. It's a 9/1000ths of a second pole difference over the defending Canadian champion, the 475, up at the front here, Cameron.
It's the Maxime Motorsports owner and driver himself, able to top the board here today in Legends for qualifying. He will lead us off for our 2 heat races coming up shortly. So we'll see him here shortly get his pole position award. Sure, he'll be happy with that result. Eli Yanko, as you mentioned, our defending champion, will be P2. Daniel Courtmanche, P3. And Sylvain Columbi, Stephen Goebel will round out your top 5 here in Legends qualifying. Next up, our cadets.
See them in a moment's time here on Kart Chaser as we get themselves ready to roll pretty soon. Again, that group is going to be split in 2 in less than 4 minutes time here on the racetrack here for today. And there's a lot of cadets that are going to be on property, by the way, for our festivities. We have 30 in total that were on your entry list here this weekend here in Quebec.
With 30 cadet drivers getting set to hit the track here shortly, like Justin has just mentioned, they will be split into 2 groups. We'll have the bottom half and the top half, so around 15 drivers on track at a time. Hopefully that will prevent any of the congestion that we've seen in those last few classes, where the leaders begin to run up onto the back pack on that early opening lap. But at the moment, Mateo Romeo was quickest in happy hour, the number 93. So we will see him in our second group that goes out at 11:05. So, but first, your bottom half of the cadet group is getting set to roll out as we wait for our CKNA officials to give us the 1-minute call. We'll take a look at our group here. On your screen, the 81 of Chase Robar. And the 18 of Jacob Rulins.
You'll see a lot of the various team members here. A good contingency of Ben Cooper racing machines here in the field. And we talked about this last weekend for those who followed along with the Coupe de Montreal. Ben Cooper, of course, a Porsche Canada Experience event in motorsport specialist, 4-time Rotax World and European champion, among some of the various team outfits here this weekend in the karting world. That's going to be one of your potential strength in numbers organizations here, Cameron, to watch for.
Yeah, having a teammate, having somebody to work with is always really important at these CKNA events, any Briggs and Stratton racing for that matter. As we see our drivers starting to get fired up here, the 1-minute call, they'll slowly pull forward and begin getting spaced out as they get ready to hit the track. So, leading us off will be the 81 of Chase Robar. And just behind him will be Jacob Rulins in the 18. So, as we see Chase getting ready to hit the track here for his qualifying session. Again, the bottom half of our cadets. So, this is from 15th to 30th based off our happy hour results. We'll see if any of them are able to break inside of that top 15 come time for our top half to hit the track. Our CKNA officials telling them to wait just shortly to let the rest of the pack get into that single file positioning. And they will begin to space out our cadet drivers here. A quick 3 laps to make something happen, to hold on to the pole position at the Canadian Nationals, the debut, the first Canadian Nationals. With that being said, the 81 of Chase Robar hitting the track.
A good reminder as we get things going in our final portions of qualifying. Our cadets, first of all, to mention, are brought to you by the respective grouping ISM Kart Sports here this weekend. Also to mention, if you're following along right now, if you want to watch those heat races and the finals as well over the course of the weekend, make sure to subscribe to KC Premium today. Yeah, $9.99 a month gets you access to not just the heats and the mains in this event, but also in many other events across North America, as you get to follow along with your favorite driver, your favorite teams, and more across the national scene. Again, subscribe to KC Premium today if you want to be able to follow along with the racing action that will be taking place in about an hour and a half's time from now. But our first drivers on track are ready to go for the cadets as they'll start lap 1 up on the board here. Chase Robar, as mentioned, will lead them around to start off. You have our drivers like Ethan Grenier, you have Jacob Rulins amongst the top 3, as Cameron mentioned, but also others like Chase O'Donnell. Meanwhile, look at this. Your celebrations for your pole award lead to some autographs, if you will, for your trophies to celebrate for the previous runnings.
So as we get our pole award there for the Legends class, we'll take a quick look back onto the track as our cadet drivers are starting to round out their first lap, starting to get into position here. You see them popping up on your screen to the left. A pass for Chase Robar. So again, he's even able to catch up to the back half of his perspective group. So a little bit of traffic there for him, but he's able to make quick work of it, get a nice pass done on the straightaway. So Chase Robar still at the top of your list at the moment. We'll start to see some drivers pop a little bit better time as Ethan Griner able to do a little bit better. Jacob Rulins also able to jump to the top of the running there with a 107.213. Now, William The 19 able to go with a 106.7. As these drivers begin to round out this first quick lap, we'll start to see the positioning continue to change. But ultimately, one more lap is all Chase Robar will have if he wants to go any better than where he currently stands in the 7th position.
Yeah, right now, things looking in terms of separation, in terms of those who have hit the track so far, upwards of the opening lap of more than a second and a half just about. Some of the people have done other warm-ups compared to right now on the circuit. See some of the others, like Ruins, getting a little bit edgy in terms of the moves. Jacob Ruins, one of those from Caledonia, I should say. Races the club scene, usually is the top 5 competitor this year in cadet competition. Looking solid as Chase McDonough jumps up towards 3rd, but William Bullrice trying to hold on in the 19 kart. It's still looking fast in one of those Burrell Art machines, continuing to stay steady for now with the 106.3s with about a couple more moments to go to set the pole time here.
You can see the 18 here trying to put together the best possible lap that he can. Jacob Rulins does look like he's fighting the kart a little bit more than he probably would like. That currently sitting in the 10th position. So I imagine that he's trying to put a little bit better lap here together. We see him starting to run down the number 4 there. We'll see if he can put a better lap together to ultimately bump himself up as the checkered flag is flying. Your current pole sitter is William Bullrice. We'll see if anybody is able to go any better across the line here. As you can see in your bottom right corner, another driver getting their pole position award for qualifying. But ultimately, William Bullrice still able to hold on to the pole position here with a 106.332 here to round out the bottom half of the cadet qualifying. We'll see what that top half has for us here shortly.
And so, our first part of the cadets just about complete. As the last of the drivers come across the stripe, Bullrice still holds on for now. 106.332 is your benchmark to watch for Group A, your top half of the pack. Next moments or so here, you have Robar in second. You also have Matthew Woolsley, Ruins, Grenier in the top 5. Then you also have Dovik Dakari inside the top 6. Rafael Sedzik amongst those in the top 7. Chase McDonough fell all the way down to 8th on your board. How things look there, a part of this. But we still have a lot of fast competitors to go that are going to be some of the drivers to keep an eye on here. For example, some of the names in cadet involve those like Max Kutsutikis that we've seen pop up in names. You have Liam Ford making an appearance. He's been trying to gain a lot of seat time. And so many others, like you mentioned Romeo, you met others like Logan D. Muskovsky, amongst those looking to have some good speed and momentum here this weekend here.
And like we mentioned, our drivers from this first group of cadet qualifying able to run a 106.3, but we take a look back at our happy hour times from yesterday, and Mateo Romeo ran a 104.4. Nathan Stockwell with a 104.4 as well. Max Katowski. These are all drivers that ran considerably quicker times than what we just saw here in this first group of qualifying. So we'll see how these drivers round out as they are set to hit the track here shortly. Will they be able to get back to those 104s that we saw late yesterday afternoon, or will they fall similar to the times that they ran this morning and warm up closer to a 105.4? So a big discrepancy between yesterday's afternoon times compared to morning warm-up, with about a 1 second difference for those drivers. Let's see what they have for us here in quali. Getting set to roll off the grid here shortly. Again, waiting for our CKNA officials to give them that 1 minute call for them to get their motors fired up and ready to hit the track.
Now, for those who don't know about this region, to talk about this facility, not just the facility rather, but also the area, this is not just, of course, a place where we have a go-kart track. This town is very notable for being known as a home to ski resorts. After all, it's one of the main thrillers, if you will, because their ski resort, one of the most famous when it comes to the province, where many people live at, but also do activities in the winter time especially. They also have national parks in the area. In other words, this is known basically as a city with plenty of mountains. It also has Circuit Mont-Tremblant, which is a big car racetrack, if you will, that at one time hosted Champ Car and also hosted sports car races in the 2000s. It was a two-time host of the Canadian Grand Prix in the 1960s and early 1970s. There's a lot of racing history in this region outside of Montreal here, especially in this town. We're seeing that carry over with the karts here Cameron. It's a really nice town when you look at the history of it and know what you can do here year-round.
Yep, it looks like a beautiful facility there, but it's the LGK kart of Mateo Romeo rolling off here to send us off for this top half of our cadet drivers. The 93 super quick yesterday. Like we mentioned, he is rolling off pole here due to that happy hour time. So we'll see if he's able to back himself up from that time yesterday. Although it does look like he struggled a little bit in morning warm-up this morning, only going into the 13th position. So hopefully he was able to find whatever they were missing this morning. We'll see how he does here in this qualifying session. Just behind him is Nathan Stockwell in the 32. You'll see him into your screen there on the Tony kart. And then in that third position, it's Max Katowski in the number 13. We will see if they're able to have anything from Mateo Romeo as we round out our first lap here in qualifying, able to get those tires nice and warm. We'll start to see them go quick here on these next two laps.
Pace up, if you will, now for some of the drivers as they go about. So, starting off the run, you have Nathan Stockwell in this. We mentioned some of the others that are going to be in this pack, like Kuzukis. You also have Ethan Smith. Ricky Ramden is in this pack. Also joined by Zachary Lozier, who's in the field again. Zachary, if you will. Liam 4 is also in the pack as one of the U.S. representatives. Tom Gagnon also be in this pack with Kaysen Meisner, should say, in the pack. William Irwin will also be amongst your top 10 from the warm-up. Also in the field point, Donovan, as they come across the stripe. Noah Kishon is in this group. And just about everybody else goes with Mason McInnes, Brody McDonald, and that should just about complete those on track with Bentley Watson. But Liam 4, he's looked impressive, but the main thing to me is he has to figure out the way here, Cameron, to get higher than the car number, the name per se. He's got the competitiveness to it. We've seen it in Route 66 competition so far in his time over in Wisconsin and with the Midwest, but nationally has had a hard time breaking above fourth or so in the finishing orders.
And we saw that this morning where he put it P4 in warm-up. So he's definitely playing into the name, into the kart number, but I'm sure he's looking to go a little bit better here in this session than where he was this morning in that fourth place position. Currently, Katowski sits at the top of your list with a 105.3, so we are quicker than what we saw this morning, as the quickest time was only a 105.4. So we'll see if these drivers are able to get back to that happy hour time of what we saw yesterday. But again, Liam 4 trying to put a lap together, trying to see what he can do to maybe progress himself a little bit higher in the standings, currently in the 5th position.
Romeo does jump to the top of the board for now, by the way, all above Kutsukis for now. See what Ford's able to respond with after starting the warm-up / the first time around in fourth. Lozier should say, jumping up to the second spot within a 10th of the pole. Gagnon jumps up also on the charge, but Ford did not get too much higher. That 42, by the way, in your pylon, ran double duty in terms of the young categories in the Coupe de Montreal just a week ago. Looking pretty solid today, as you see with the banners listed this weekend running under the Ben Cooper Racing tent for this run, as Romeo looks to try and close out qualifying here.
Romeo looking pretty strong, and he might even get a little bit of a draft here, which would ultimately help his case, but that is checkered flag for him. He does go a little bit better with a 104.5, but Max Katowski able to pop a 104.3, so better than what we saw in Happy Hour yesterday. This is very quick times for the cadet class as a few more drivers start to come across the line here. We'll see if anybody has anything better for Max Katowski. But at the moment, as it stands, Max Katowski is your provisional pole sitter, the number 13 with a 104.3. Mateo Romeo in the number 93 will be P2, a 104.5. And Zachary Lozier will be P3 with a 104.7. As our last few drivers start to cross the line here, nobody has been able to go better than anybody inside that top 5.
So it's Kuzukas who jumps to the top of the board and holds on. Romeo and Lozier up to the top 3. Gagnon as well as Meissner in your top 5. Coming up next, Senior Light. 4 groups are qualifying for their class here on Kart Chaser in a moment.
Champions aren't just born on the kart track. At SimShop, we deliver professional-grade simulators with the best performance-to-price ratio in the industry. Founded by racers who understand what you need, our SimMagic and Moza equipment is powerful enough for the pros, yet affordable for everyone. With unmatched customer support and a thriving community, we're your racing partner. Visit simshop.com today.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go race.
When it comes to innovation on the track,
Next group just about ready to fly as we take a look at another one of your RLV fastest qualifiers from earlier today as more pool awards get awarded out here today. Remember, some of the juniors already discussed some of their totals. Cadets supposed to go finishing up some of their qualifying orders. But today, more smiles being given out for your top drivers as they complete their celebrations. That in mind here, this is your largest class on property, though. End off qualifying before we go behind the paywall. This is a 78 kart field, all in senior light today here at Cameron. That's massive, to say the least.
Yeah, this is a class that is historically big at every CKNA event, with Grand Nationals there in Indiana having what feels like 100 once you're out there. But our senior light will be split into 4 run groups for this qualifying session, so we'll have roughly 20 drivers on track at a time. Now, we have been seeing with classes around this size, drivers are running into the back of the pack, so we'll see if the 7074 here ends up running into the last few drivers coming off the grid. It does not look like so. So it looks like our CKNA officials have kind of perfected the spacing here for our first group of the senior light drivers. So this is our bottom 4th. These are the drivers who maybe have been struggling a little bit this weekend, looking to get just a little bit more out of their go-kart here through this session. And hopefully make a little bit better positioning heading into our heat races later today. So at the moment, it's the 774 of Bellevaux, who is leading us off here.
One of the Quebec-based drivers getting the chance to lead this respective group, as still many more. 2 of the Boivers are in this pack as well. You have drivers such as Bill Dion to pick through the list. You have drivers like Caden Olsen that are towards the bottom of the order, looking to try and pick up some tempo here. All part of this extremely massive junior field. Keep in mind your top driver junior lineup here. Still looking to at least say what they're going to do, because some of the others are working, and we've had at least one spin around here. We've had a couple people at the very least, Cameron, quietly have spins, but it's not been necessarily an impediment for the towards the qualifying run for any of the other drivers. Track workers have so far been very quick to make sure drivers, if they have an issue, get right back on the racetrack so they can get their laps put in.
Yeah, our CKNA workers here are doing a great job at keeping the track clear and allowing our drivers who have managed to stay on the track to get their fast laps. So, at the moment, Lucas McIntyre running pretty quick times, but Murdoch able to top the list here for this bottom 4th at the moment. So, currently, the track is looking nice and clear. Beautiful day here in Canada. So we're following along with the number 7 of Lucas McIntyre at the moment, as he rounds out turn 15 and heads down that front straightaway, trying to get a little bit better time. He will go purple at the moment with a 104.088. Timothy LaBelle in 2nd, and Felipe Dion in the 3rd position at the moment. We'll see what our other drivers have for us in our final 2 laps here in the bottom quadrant of senior light.
All I can say is to some of those that are on trackside here, you can see Nate Dean very quietly watching along with his camera, for example, here today. I think all the drivers are just kind of in the fans watching along here today, or in the situation before we go behind KC Premium today. See how things are going to crafty. Here's my question, actually, to think about this, because it's going to get interesting even with the split up here, because what's 78 divided by 2? Calculator says that is 39. 39 karts is going to be a lot of drivers here in the first place when you're talking about what's going to be one of two classes with two groups for your heat races today. So how much does that now factor in, knowing it's going to be absolutely wild, and that's going to be important in both races, so make sure you don't end up being in the B final, which we do have a B final set up for the juniors today, and as well as the senior lights, a part of those competing by tomorrow.
Yeah, you definitely want to maximize your positioning for the heat races, and that all funnels down to right here across the line for the senior lights for that bottom quad of the group. These drivers might struggle a little bit more throughout the day, might have a little bit more work to do, but at the moment, Major Makovisky sits as your provisional pole sitter with a 103.4 according to our race select here. It looks like Murdoch might have been the driver that had that spin or some sort of off-track moment that puts him provisionally P1 on our standings. On our race select app here, he sits P2, Quentin Murdoch, the 342 with a 103.5. So we get set for our second group, our middle group, you could call it, of our senior light division. Another 20 drivers getting set to hit the track here shortly, looking to go better than the 20 drivers you just saw on the track, and hopefully put themselves in a position to be in that top 40 of the group for later today. But as you mentioned, a hefty group here, a lot of racing we look forward to, and a lot of drivers that will be on the track. You want to make sure you maximize your position so that you can have a good finish, a good starting spot, we'll call it, for the feature tomorrow.
Absolutely, here as we go about. So many of the names to keep an eye on here. For example, Eric Lassard, who is running this class, as well as the other one we mentioned earlier in, going to be one of the first drivers to roll off here if you look at your number plates closely. You also have some of the 300s in the group, such as Ben Lawrence. It's going to make an appearance here in terms of some of the drivers potentially here today. That is the Canadian Ben Lawrence that runs from Port Perry, Ontario, here this weekend. So some of the others also that are going to be up towards the front, you have some of the point karting machines. By the way, your senior lights are brought to you by Point Karting here for CKNA Canada Nationals. So as these drivers look to rattle around the racetrack in the next few minutes here, so right now, just waiting for the word for when they'll get the one to go command. We are right now at the position where they're set to go in less than 2 minutes per our estimates for their qualifying efforts. There they are for the one to go command. And obviously, you can't necessarily take the exact same car per se in terms of the heat races. Is there what are you taking from the setup for these qualifying runs here, Cameron, that then you'll end up implementing or changing as a result when we go racing later today, that in terms of making sure you replicate your qualifying speed, but also don't fall off a cliff in 8 laps in the race pace?
Yeah, a lot of that is going to be with your tire pressure. These drivers will have a much higher tire pressure at the moment just to fire off quickly for that 3-lap stint here in qualifying, whereas for those longer races, such as our heat races later today being 8 laps, you'll see them drop the tire pressure there a little bit in order to hold that pace for a little bit longer. As for kart setup, it'll really depend on how they feel during this 3 laps. If they're happy with the go-kart, I doubt they'll make many changes, but if it's something that they're still struggling with, maybe those drivers that we see in that bottom quadrant of the group, I'm sure they'll be back at the tent making some changes, trying to find that last little bit that they need in order to get into a better positioning for later today. So the 348 will take us off for this middle 4th of the group here in senior light. Again, 20 drivers on the track here with another 40 more to come in the next couple of minutes. So 3 laps to make something happen here for the 348. see what he's able to do here shortly.
So here we go for our second of 4 driving groups here for the Senior Lights, brought to you by Point Karting here today as we get ready to go. So, first driver's about to set their warm-ups here today. Right now, remember the benchmark from our last qualifying group earlier today was a 1:03.407, expecting the pace to pick up. Remember, happy hour comparison, seeing drivers in the 5s in the first group, but the second group reached as quick as 1:03.9. So, we'll see where things really stand apart. Next moments or so, you have Mindy Croteau, a part of this group of note. You have others like Ethan Chan that are amongst those who circulate through for now. And you'll also see a wide range with the Canadian side of chassis here this weekend. You have not only, say, the Coyotes or Borel Arts, if you will, but it's an opportunity to see different things like the Intrepids. There's some Charles Leclercs in the field. There's some Gerards that are up in this group. OK1s. A lot of brands that may not have the biggest presence that we see on the state side here, Cameron, get a representation in Canada.
Yeah, we see Ben Lawrence here on our screen on a Goodwood, which is an Intrepid product. So very similar to the Intrepid. But yes, we see a lot of different chassis here. Or more popular, I guess. These are a few that we have seen in the States, but the Intrepids, the Goodwoods, the Kart Republics, the Sodis all look to be a lot more popular here in Canada. They do run a bit of a different setup. The Canadians tend to run a much more narrow setup and often run the 180 wheels instead of the 210s, which is kind of custom for the American racing that we see. We all run the same 6.0 tire, but here in America, we often stretch it to a 210 wheel. So a little bit different setup for the Canadians is what is normal for them. And we see Eric Lessard on that Intrepid there at the bottom of your screen. A Borel Art here for the 741 of Croteau. So he's able to put a good lap together. We should start seeing some drivers jump to the top of the board here, as this is their fast lap. Mindy Croteau able to hold it for now with a 1:03.2. 2/10 over Lessard. As a few more drivers will start to cross the line here. Anthony Bissett able to go a little bit better with a 1:03.1.
Yeah, not bad at all for that Steel Machine. Croteau, for reference, was top 5, remember, in senior medium in Cup Kart Spring Nats at Charlotte Motor Speedway earlier this year. Had a bit of a tougher time in the Coupe de Montreal against some of the same drivers here last weekend. Only finished mid-pack at the greatest in terms of a different engine package, or the Road Tax one, if you will. But Bissett is indeed the one at the top of the board in that 715 machine on your scoring as we go. Following along with Croteau on screen as we find out where this goes. Here with the checker flag waving. Sets time. Looks like we'll stay up there. So the 715 does for now stay as the quickest driver in this group. One of the drivers that was in the top 15 in both the spring Nat classes they ran in earlier this year back in the month of March. So that brings us into our third group coming up. The top third middle group, if you will, about to rotate onto the racetrack as the last 2 drivers set times here. And some of the others at the back of the group see a jump up. That's going to be Bastien Bouchard, who jumps up to 4th in that session, as our next one is already waiting in the wings here.
You can see on your screen here is the next group of our senior light drivers. Borel Art machine there, another Intrepid. Eric Lessard, his teammate, able to go P3, so not too bad. We'll see what he can hold on to as these next 40 more drivers get set to hit the track. But as we briefly mentioned, some karts are more popular up here than what we might be used to seeing. So a lot of Kart Republic Sodies, as we mentioned. We're getting set to hit the track next. Is another group of senior light drivers.
All of them staying laser focused on the task at hand here. They'll be led off onto the racetrack this time in a moment or so by what's going to be one of the privateers from Mercier, Quebec. This is Kia Gendron, who will lead things off, was quietly mid-pack last week in Coupe de Montreal, but also looked in the mid-pack in previous races in the Canada division back in 2025 and all other previous starts. But also up towards the front here, Adam Goulet, who's looking to make an impact. We'll find out if the speed is there from the second driver going to be on your lineup here amongst the drivers who just missed the cut for your fastest, the fastest for the main session. So, that in mind here, is there a major concern when you're not in the fastest group? Because we've seen people from the third group even set pole times before in some of the events in the past year and a half here on Kart Chaser.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily something that you dwell off of a lot. It's one of those things that just sets the order for what matters here in qualifying. So for these drivers, I'm sure they might not be super thrilled with their positioning at the moment, but have all the opportunity to end up inside that top 10 as we get set for later today. It's all in their hands right here. 3 laps. They have equal opportunity as the rest of the 80 kart field to make it happen. So ultimately, it'll boil down to who's able to pop their fastest lap in just those 3 laps. And getting set next is Adam Goulet, who will lead us off for the top middle of our senior light division. Waiting for our CKNA officials to give us that 1-minute call here. So I'm sure drivers are getting just a little bit antsy. Ready to go. We see 1 minute there. Starting to fire up our motors.
They keep a very tight ship when it comes to timing here after all in CKNA competition. If the time says a certain time on the boards, they will stick to that time. Usually seems to be the trend in previous years. So expect things to stay relatively on schedule over the course of this weekend before we go racing after the lunch break, set for a 12:29 start. Not 12:30, not 12:28, 12:29. But here we go. They'll all get walked down to the racetrack and start off their respective group here. Vincent Goulet just behind as well in third in the order. And they're one of those who has picked up wins in Coupe de Montreal competition that happened here this weekend in this one. As you see, Gendron will get the chance to roll, lead things off. They will lead things off in the Kart Republic. Runs away for our third group of qualifiers. Remember, top driver of the previous group was in the 103s. Where will the benchmark be this time? As you see, already massive separations here for our Group 3 session.
As Micah Gendron is leading us off here in that all-pink Kart Republic. We'll see what they are able to do as the rest of our drivers continue to file out of the grid. Again, 20 drivers will be on the track. We'll see if Gendron has any sort of congestion coming across the line, or if they will get a clean run like we saw in our bottom quadrant of qualifying. Doesn't look like there'll be any traffic, so able to push for a fast lap starting right. Oh, well, I take that back. It looked like there was still one leaving the grid there, so we'll see if that causes any issues on this fast lap. Looks like there might still be a big enough gap to get some clean laps in. Again, only 3 laps total, not a ton of time, so trying to use every little bit that you've got to make something happen here. So Micah Gendron still who we are following with that 776. Adam Goulet a little bit behind. And Vincent Goulet in that third position on track at the moment as we round out this first lap.
Some of the other names keeping an eye on. We see Billy Kinsley in here. Matthew Burleff is also amongst those who just ran a week ago on the schedule. Looks solid in terms of previous drivers that picked up some championship hardware. We're Point Peely back in 2024. We're in the field. You also have others like Madeline Vermette, who is also going to be in the field, and many others. But our first major times are coming on through. Some of the drivers as low as the 103.7s. That's why Vincent Goulet, top of the board to lead things off by 3/10. Vincent looking pretty steady here in the 772 here. Now in the blue card you see on the racetrack, zipping their way on through. Was a driver that has made starts in Cup Karts Canada competition previously in 2024 after all. Started off the open rounds of the season back then with some wins then. Looking to do the same here today at the national level.
Yeah, Vincent Goulet looking to get everything out of that Ben Cooper Racing Burrell Art machine. As he looks to get a little bit of tow. I apologize. I don't think that is a Ben Cooper Racing machine.
No.
My apologies there to Vincent Goulet.
So, and that kind of showcases just the diversity, because in some cases I've noticed some teams are going to be on part of their national banner, some are in those that we're seeing though locally. You'll see various levels of how much support you'll get for something like this, where in some cases we've seen national level drivers that have competed with big teams then go to an air event and they're basically working on a pickup truck with their fathers or with their parents or with their family members or with a few friends to get their cart ready to go. It depends on the circumstance, obviously. Obviously, in a lot of cases, the more support, the better when you're at the nationals like this.
And we see a few drivers start to top the board now. Zachary Blanchette with a 103.1, the 797, now able to go to the top of the board. We'll see what Goulet is able to do across the line here. He does not go any better. He is still down in the 8th position. As Eric Lassard crosses the line there. Brennan Taylor in the P2 position with the 103.2. So, a few drivers have kind of mixed it up here on these last couple of laps as we expect with these middle groups. But at the moment, Zachary Blanchette will be your provisional pole sitter for this group, this portion of the group. But still, you've got your top 4th of the entire senior light field, the fastest drivers from yesterday, getting set to hit the track for their qualifying session, all looking for that last little bit, looking to put it on pole here. They want to be the ones to lead us off. So, Sebastian Day on your screen there. Christopher Wakefield was able to get it done once today. Can he do it again? 2 pole positions for him. Will he be able to make it happen? We'll find out in just a few moments' time.
Looks like carts are starting to roll here as we begin things off. This is our final group when it comes to your qualifying here today, as we're just about set to go. Point Karting Senior Light. It's Nicholas Capilongo that leads things off here today for this qualifying group, and you see that Coyote ready to go. Nationally has had some bad luck as of late, but we've seen speed from Capilongo. Will that carry here today for the Aurora, Ontario-based driver? Sebastian Day is also months those up towards the front from your grouping of drivers set to hit the racetrack, as this will potentially and very likely set the pole. Your benchmark is still in the ones. We'll find out if the speed is there from your best of the best as they warm up their tires here, Cameron.
Again, Nicholas Capilongo leading us off here, but his teammate Christopher Wakefield in the third position on track at the moment. We saw him go quick as just a little bit earlier today in that senior medium pack. It looks like there's an issue for Capilongo there, or is he just trying to get the draft, playing the classic game there? There is no issue to that go-kart. He just wants a little bit of a carrot to chase. So he lets Sebastian Day go by, as well as his teammate Christopher Wakefield. And then we see it happen right back. Day pulls over to the side. He doesn't want to lead neither. He wants the opportunity to get a draft. We'll see if Wakefield plays into the game. He knows he's quick. Like we mentioned, he's been pulled already today. So he takes a look back. He pulls over as well. The classic senior games have begun. We see this everywhere we go in CKNA competition. This time, it's just a little bit more blatant than ever. Again, there's nothing wrong with this. There is nothing illegal to this at all. They're just sacrificing their own lap there in order to get a draft, get a tow, have somebody to chase. So Capilongo is now back in to the lead on track. Now these drivers are all kind of spaced out together. We'll see if Capilongo is able to just go ahead and push forward as Sebastian Day gets super close to the rear bumper. He's forced to pull out and try to make a pass. Let's see if he goes through with it or if he sacrifices himself. No, he's able to get clear. So, Sebastian Day, now your leader on track as we finish out this lap in qualifying.
See some of the separations, camera-to-camera viewpoint. Capilongo shuffles behind Summerin as they zip on through. You also have some of the others putting up pace, like Murphy, Alex Murphy specifically. They're one of the double-duty drivers here today. You have Solangio, who's made some appearances. Gianluca down in 9th to start things off, making about 8th per se. As the shuffle continues for some of the others. So, some of these names mentioned have had experiences when it comes to the Grand Nats. Also have shown good speed. In particular, that 399 is one of those who've seen do well from Woodbridge, Ontario here today. Has also competed in WRKC competition, would have been a winner multiple times there. Last time he was at the Cup Karts North America Grand Nats in terms of stat logs. It was 2024 as well. 84th after a 109 kart field that day. A lot more different field size today. Might have a chance as we see the second times be complete. Look who's up there. It's Jaden Hundal who's up at the top of the board with a tie.
Yeah, we see the number 67 of Arnold Saborian tied with a 1.02.989 with Jaden Hundal. So the two of them are currently equal for the lead at the moment as they round out that first lap up to pace. Still have another lap to be completed. We'll see if they're able to go any better. Sebastian Day still on your screen there with Nicholas Capilongo. We'll see if either one of them are able to go better. They're currently sitting in the 3rd and 6th position. But that driver right there, the number 67 of Arnold Saborian, is currently quickest. They'll get checkered here. We'll see what our drivers are able to do. Sebastian Day will quickly jump to pole position with a 102.7. Drivers continue to funnel across the line. See if anybody can go any better. Gianluca Savalio trying to get everything out of that go-kart there across the line, not able to do it. So Sebastian Day is your provisional pole sitter here in the senior light division with a 102.7. The number 310 machine, that Burrell Art Steel Motorsports machine. I'm sure he'll be happy with that performance. And Nicholas Capolongo with that PPK Coyote brings it home P2 for our qualifying session with a 102.8. So just a few hundredths between the two of them, with his teammate Christopher Wakefield in the third position. Senior light, this wraps up your qualifying sessions as we get a little lunch break here, 30 minutes, and then we'll see you guys here in Heat 1, kicking it off with our juniors.
We'll see that on the other side of the paywall. Again, be sure to subscribe to KC Premium today if you want to be able to keep up with the heats and the finals over the course of this weekend. Sebastian Day, at the very least, get a chance to celebrate and come up on top in the senior lights, your biggest class of the weekend. We'll see the stealth up at the top of the board.
So proud of you.
Those scenes of emotion, you love to see them, to say the very least, Cameron, in terms of these types of races. Now, we'll find out how this goes when we go actual racing in a bit. So, on that note here, your thoughts on qualifying here for the course of the weekend is my question for some. It was an interesting session, to say the very least, here this morning, that set your pole times in the RLV Fast qualifiers, to say the very least.
Yeah, fantastic qualifying session. Something that seemed quite difficult for some, running into some congestion there for our leaders in a few of the qualifying sessions, a few of our classes. But ultimately, our senior light division went as smooth as it possibly could have. Our CKNA officials did a great job at spacing everybody out and making sure everybody got a clean lap there. So Sebastian Day able to bring it home. As you guys could see, he was very excited about that one. But we'll catch up with a few drivers down fresh out of the scale line, I believe, here shortly. So that'll be coming at you guys here soon.
But until that point, at the very least, the thought process is going to be, for some of the drivers, get into race mode. Why don't we send this over to a third member of our crew today? This is Frederic down trackside.
So hi, today we're with Sebastian Day. So he's the pole position today for senior light. So what was like out there today? Was it great? How was it?
Yeah, we learned a little bit from medium in qualifying, and just kind of put the lap together there. There's a bit of shenanigans at the beginning of qualifying there, and just put my head down and drove. And I didn't think I was going to take it, but you know, we're taking where we can get it. It's a nice pole for the team, and happy I could do it.
Perfect. So how was your thought process going through the race? How was it?
Yeah, I was just kind of, running my own thing. There was people behind me, sort of close. I thought they had my draft, but I guess I still managed to pull it out, and really happy for Steel Motorsports and Maxim Motorsports. Happy to do it for them.
Perfect. Congratulations.
Thank you.
A happy Sebastian Day here with the pole award here today. But on that note, it's time to go behind the paywall and take a lunch break. When we come back, it'll be heat racing time. You're watching this year's edition of the CKNA Canada Grand Nationals here on Kart Chaser, Sebastian Day celebrates the final pole of the morning.